Why? Deep into.
Yeah, listen to this.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Let me get my coffee.
Were there any other
what the carryover?
yeah.
Bill has is we have plates in the incubator, right?
Yeah.
I only checked that one incubator. I did not check the Listeria. I think it was something that wasn't cleared from Listeria, I think.
To correspond with our times in Zone 3 are all cadences in the 90s if you want to follow the beat. The songs that are for our sections of Zone 2 are all cadence.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Midtown parents and maybe some faculty and staff on here if they're free this period. It's good to see everybody. It's been a little while since we've had a coffee talk. And so we're really trying to limit the number of people in the building. So it makes sense to continue doing Zoom for the time being as we work through this very big wave of COVID that we're having. So I'll talk about a few things. I have a few things I want to talk about, and then, as always, let you all ask questions or make comments, whatever you'd like to do. We are recording this, so we'll post it on the website after the coffee. So I'll just talk a minute about COVID. Speaking of COVID, we've had a big uptick in cases recently, and which is kind of going against the trend. But we've had, since last Friday, 22 positive cases. This is all students, 25 positive cases, and a number of exposure cases that have resulted in students being in quarantine. So that's a lot for us, given our history since August. It's more than we've ever had at one time on quarantine. Of course, it's a 5-day quarantine, so kids go on quarantine, come off, that kind of thing. But it is a lot. And so I just want to encourage everybody to please think logically and about what you allow your kids to do as far as socially outside of school, those kind of things. The exposure to cases, things like that. I mean, just as parents, we have to monitor that, and big groups, things like that do bring big waves. And so that's where we're in right now. We're doing our testing twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. We test about total about 450 people. That's all staff, and then about 300 kids. So still not the numbers we'd like for student surveillance testing. I don't know what else I can do except continue to offer it and push out the permission form and just continue to push it, because it is important. We had 4 cases Friday that were found during our testing and 3 on Tuesday this week. So the rest of them are self-report, parents sending in self-report indicating positive or exposure with symptoms. So that's the key. The guidelines are kind of fluid. I try to stick with what we've been doing the whole time. Getting some conflicting kind of information about it, but it seems to be working for us right now with what we're doing. So, what happens when a student has to quarantine is hopefully, and what happens is with me, I send out a little note to the parents, says, thanks for giving me your self-report. Your student will be on quarantine until they can return on this date. And then after that, I always include the nurse on that. And then Wanda Taylor, who's been just a rock star this year. And then I send a note to the teachers, to all 8 teachers, and to the student's counselor, and say, the student will be out, blah, blah, please open Zoom links and allow accessibility to Schoology, which is normal anyway. So that's what happens. And then we code the absences as quarantine, which do not count against the student's absences. Last semester, we had all total over 5,000 days of quarantine. So just given the number of periods and things like that. So we're on a record-setting pace now. So that's where we are with that. Please know that it does. This is what happens sometimes. I'll get a self-report from a parent, say at 10 at night. I usually act upon that because of insomnia. So I act upon that usually right away. And what I do is I email the teachers. Now, the teachers are not checking email at 10 o'clock at night, and I don't expect them to check email at 10 o'clock at night. And teachers don't have to report till 8:30. They're not expected to check their email at 6:15 in the morning when they get up. So it may be that it takes a few class periods for the Zoom to open, that. So we have to remember that teachers are not teaching asynchronously, that 99% of our kids are in the classroom. And so it just takes some time. We have to be understanding of that with teachers. So, please, it's just not an instantaneous process. This is all very labor intensive, what we're doing with no additional people. I'm not whining, I'm not griping, I'm just telling you the way it is. It is a 1 or 2 woman, 3 woman show here, COVID. And so that's the reality. Nothing is, if your child is sick, they're not expected to do work. They're sick. And so, they can always make it up. So just please don't get frantic about if the Zoom link's not open. It takes some time. And trying to be really understanding of what our teachers are going through right now, and asking them to teach the kids at home and the kids in the classroom is very, very difficult. So thank you for your understanding with that. Okay, so another topic that I just want to talk about for a moment is kind of academic dishonesty. Cheating is what it is. And, So
Well, definitely.
need everybody to mute, please. Mute home. So academic dishonesty. Now, let me say that this goes like COVID in waves in every school. A big surge of concern, and that kind of thing. We try to address it. We try to address it with parents about what's really going on. So I don't want people to think that we've just turned into this, continual academic dishonesty with kids cheating left and right. But I do want to talk about the APS policy on this in the student code of conduct on academic dishonesty. So, I have to put my glasses on. Okay, so I'll just read it to you, but you can also read this too. But academic dishonesty, it is the responsibility of every student and employee to exhibit honesty, trust, fairness, respect, and responsibility in academic work at all times to support a positive learning environment in the school. Cheating, plagiarism, and other acts of academic dishonesty are strictly prohibited. Students who cheat on standardized testing or are repeatedly dishonest can face expulsion or increased consequences. Examples of violation of this rule include, but are not limited to, copying or borrowing from another source and submitting it as one's work, seeking or accepting unauthorized assistance on tests, projects, or other assignments, fabricating data or resources, providing or receiving test questions in advance without permission, or working collaboratively with other students when individual work is expected. Depending on the age of the student, level of severity, or repetition, the administrator may utilize intervention supports and level 1 to 4 disciplinary responses for this offense. And in the student code of conduct, which is online, it goes through levels for every offense, so you can look at that. But it is the responsibility of every student to exhibit honesty, trust, fairness, respect, and responsibility in academic work at all times to support a positive learning environment in the school. Use of a cellular phone without the consent of a school administrator or other school staff during a test, quiz, or completion of a graded assignment is considered cheating and is strictly prohibited. Depending on age of student, level of severity, repetition, the administrator may utilize interventions, supports, and level 2 to 4 disciplinary responses for this offense. Additionally, any violation will result in the device being confiscated and will result in the student's loss of the privilege of possessing a cellular phone or PED on school property for 1 calendar year, and the student may receive a grade of 0 on the test or quiz. So that's what the APS policy says. Of course, now we're into, watches, people wear smart watches, things like that. It is very, very challenging to monitor students at all times when taking an assessment or assignment, things like that. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that teachers do put in place to monitor students when they're taking tests or quizzes, things like that. So here are the levels, sorry, the resolutions, student code of conduct. I'll let y'all look at that. So you can see it goes from level 1, from just school-based intervention and alternative suspensions to 1-day ISS or 1-day detention. That's, that's in elementary, and then same thing in high school, middle and high. So that's the APS policy in the handbook. So some things that teachers do, I asked them to give me some examples of things that they do on a normal basis. And here are some things that they indicated to me. They use securely, which is something that we started this year. The APS started this year. Every week I get a report of my 2 students, Devin and Trent's use of securely. I get that on Saturday. All parents get that. You may not even look at it, but you might once in a while. Collect cell phones, collect scratch paper, adopt an academic honesty pledge. Some teachers do that on my honor. I have neither given nor received help on this assignment. Plagiarism checker on writing submitted online, using handwritten essays, assignments only on district issued devices, so Chromebooks, scrambling questions and answers on testing platform, use differentiated assessments based on content, product, and process, using the lockdown feature, browser feature in All-in Learning and Schoology. We're currently working with IT to utilize lockdown browser feature in AP Classroom, which is a different platform. It's currently not accessible using district issued Chromebooks. So those are just some of the things that, some of the many things that teachers indicated to me that they're using to try to help this situation. So, okay. All right. So are there any questions specifically about, before we move on to our next topic, about academic dishonesty, cheating, anything like that, that I can answer for anybody? Feel free to speak up.
There's a question in chat. What kinds of conversations are staff having with students about this?
I know that teachers, especially before tests, they talk about security, things like that, talk about academic honesty, things like that. That's, there's also things written in the syllabus that teachers give to students in the syllabus about cheating and dishonesty. I do think, it's the parents' role as well to set the expectations for their students. And, we also do that. We work hand in hand, but this is also a home issue, a parent issue. I'm not blaming parents. I'm just saying it is something that we all have to work on as parents and staff members to talk about this with our students. I don't know if during the pandemic, when all kids were home, there was a lot of independence that students had, a lot of autonomy. I doubt you all were, watching over your kids' shoulders the whole time, and because most of you were working. So, there was ample opportunity for kids to gather information, to speak, to talk to each other, to collaborate frequently during that. And so we need to, it's getting back to the normal routine of school, but students are extremely ingenious. I mean, the things, Ms. Hollis just put some of the bullets down here. Some of the things teachers said were they take up water bottles, take up phones, they watch kids constantly when taking tests because they're very inventive and ingenious. Water bottles, teacher said that she has seen kids that had answers written on labels of water bottles. things like that. We have to be careful about asking our teachers to be such detectives all the time with that kind of thing. If you have 30 in a classroom, you're trying to monitor what they're all doing. It's really difficult, to do that. So I do think it's a homeschool thing that we need to work on.
Another statement, do students have protection if they are unfairly suspected of cheating? My child was sitting in front row of class during a test and the teacher made her move because she said my daughter was showing her screen to the student behind her.
I don't, if a teacher points that out and asks a student to do something, I think the student just needs to do what the teacher's asking them to do. I don't think that resulted in a discipline referral. I don't know that specific example, but I think it also, right, if you have a Chromebook, somebody behind me could see what's on here, maybe that's something that should have been looked at the beginning of the class, making sure, but again, that's an individual situation that I'm not sure it resulted in any kind of referral or anything like that. That's something that a teacher could talk to the student after, the student could talk to the teacher after, that kind of thing. Or, an administrator can intervene if the student feels like he or she was accused of cheating. I don't want a student to feel that way. So we can work on that, on an independent basis if that's what happened.
I may have missed it, but is there a process for reporting academic dishonesty if it is observed by students? I've heard that there is concern about retaliation if the reporting student is known. I did in the chat say something about see something, say something being a way to anonymously report, but I don't know if you want to add something else to that.
No, that's what I was going to suggest is students can report a number of things through anything, honestly, through see something, say something. And I get that a student might feel like, they're snitching on somebody, that kind of thing. But if a student, wants to tell a teacher, wants to tell an administrator, that's probably the best thing to do if you don't use the see something, say something. Administrators are really, really good at checking out something without identifying a student. It just, so, if a student's uncomfortable with something, they should report it. That happens a lot, things students report. Anything else on that dishonesty? Okay.
I don't see anything else in chat. Ms. McBride, I'm not sure if you have anything directly.
Ms. McBride, anything else that the teachers pointed out that you wanted to bring up beside the bullets that we went over? Bullet points?
I think the bullets captured many of the main things. I will add, I know in the Latin team, they have the students write a pledge, an honesty pledge, and they write it in English and in Latin before they take their exams. So, I know teachers are really working as hard as they can to try to curb academic dishonesty in their classes. I will add additionally, another platform that students and parents can use to communicate with the administrative team here, and they can do so anonymously, or they can have their contact information displayed, and that's going to be Let's Talk. And there's a link for that. If you go to the Midtown website, you can contact us through Let's Talk, and you can either choose to be anonymous or have your identity known.
Good question. Is this topic being discussed due to significant uptick in cheating? No, there's not a significant uptick in cheating. There was a Southerner article about, I think the December issue of the Southerner had an article about it, which, and Ms. McBride has been here for a number of years. This comes up often, about every couple of years. The Southerner does a big article about cheating. They interview teachers, and it seems like this huge thing when it's really not a huge thing. I really polled teachers earlier this week about what they see, what they're doing, that kind of thing. And they don't feel like it's this huge problem. So it comes up a lot. It just comes up every other year with the Southern Oracle. I don't want to downplay that, but it does. So please don't think that this, I just bring it up because it's kind of it's just on the forefront, but please don't think that we're just like have lost all morals and sensibility here with this. So Ms. Hall says this does not start with cheating, right? This has been going on for years and years and years. As we all know from when we were in high school, things like this happen. So just bringing it to your attention. Okay, so let's do a little commercial break for PTSO. I think Josh DiAgostino might be on here, John Offit. We have a couple of slides that we'll go through that they sent. And please, John and Josh, y'all jump in and lead us through this.
Thank you, Dr. Bachman. Hello, everyone. I'm John Offit, the PTSO president. And Keisha, could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So just wanted to spend a few moments to let you know what your PTSO is doing and some of the exciting things that are coming up. And Josh will speak to that in a moment. But here's a quick summary of the types of expenses that the PTSO helps Midtown High School with. And in general, we support the school's operational expenses. And these are potential gaps in the in-year costs of running the school, like classroom startup funds, so teachers don't have to go out of pocket for their teaching supplies. Teacher grants for continuing education, improves quality of education. We've had several teacher appreciation lunches, as well as sending out gift cards that are so appreciated. And for community events, I think we have some really interesting things coming up. So look in for the nightly news for that, and I think you'll be really happy with it. So as you can see, these efforts are not cheap, but they're so valuable, and we as a community would like to see them continue and potentially even grow in the future. We have other plans for that. So to that end, we're excited about the fundraiser we're having next month at Park Tavern. And here to talk more about that is our fundraising chair, Josh DiAgostino.
And first, you have to pretend you didn't hear anything that Dr. Bachman said about COVID. So let's just start there, because we are having an in-person event.
And Keisha, if you could go to the next slide, please.
So we planned this obviously months and months ago in hopes that we could pull this off. We still are planning to have it. Maybe, according to the numbers, John, you're probably more familiar than I am, maybe Omicron's at a peak and on its way down. It seems that way, but hopefully that will be the case and get people comfortable to come. But we are having this back to prom fun event for the families and parents and staff of Midtown. Be 70s and 80s theme prom night. We're going to have both the online auction as well as an in-person live auction. So the auction will start February 20th online and will run till 10 p.m. February 26th, which is really the culmination of the event in person at Park Tavern. We will have the tent that's outside along with the meadow attached to it that's completely outside. So we are going to have this event really in that outside tent you probably see, as well as have a meadow that has no tent over it. So there'll be indoor, outdoor options, so to speak, at this event. We're going to have great things both online and live. We have lake houses, Lake Lanier and Lake Arrowhead. We have mountain houses in Blue Ridge and Franklin, North Carolina. We've got a wine tasting for 6 that can be done in home if you prefer. Dinner for 10 at NOAX. We have gift cards for all kinds of services and restaurants around the area, landscaping services, trips and resorts. So there's going to be a lot of great things, a lot of things that you saw last year. We raised $56,000 last year in a 100% online event. So we're looking forward to at least matching that, and of course having some fun together as a community. There'll be DJ, there'll be dancing, there'll be food and drinks. There'll be an opportunity to really spend time together. A ticket to the event you can get on the auction website is $50 per person. That does include kind of heavy appetizers and some drink options at the bar. So that comes with, food and drinks for the event. It's $50 per person, so $100 per couple. We really would like for you to come. We're telling staff of Midtown that they can come for free, and we will sponsor their attendance. But we'd like, obviously, as many folks to come as we can. There's tons of space, right, John? So we have plenty of space to spread out if that makes you feel more comfortable. There's outdoor piece as well as an indoor piece. But this is our big once a year event, and we really need your support, whether you bid online our items or you bid online and come to the event with live auction. There's different ways to support whatever your comfort level is, but we really hope that you will come to the event because we think it'll be a lot of fun. So John, anything to add to that?
You have a question before he adds. Will you be asking people to be masked and or tested, vaccinated, verification for participation in the auction if attending in person? And what time does this start?
So it starts at 7 p.m. on Saturday, February 26th. It'll run to 11 p.m. The auction piece will end at 10 o'clock. So there'll be a live auction from like 9:15 to 10. Then there'll be an hour to kind of get your things, get your winnings, wrap up, talk, chat, that sort of thing. The online event will start February 20th, though. Okay, so there will be some items specifically for the live auction, some larger items, but the whole online bidding will start February 20th. So you don't have to be there to bid. You don't, but hopefully, so you can participate in a number of different ways. We are not planning to ask for vaccination verification or testing at this time. We talked about that months and months and months ago. I haven't talked about it recently. And I think masking, there will be food and drinks. So we're going to ask people to do what they feel is comfortable. I don't know, John, if you want to add to that, people can do what they feel is comfortable. But we don't plan to have those sorts of specifications mandated.
I think we'll learn more about that. Josh and I have a walkthrough with Park Tavern, next week or a week after?
February 8th.
Okay. So there was a time when Park Tavern did have a mask mandate. So we will fall under whatever Park Tavern has. They might still have it. And if not, that's something we can address. We certainly want everyone to be safe.
Yeah, and comfortable. We want people to be comfortable coming. Any other questions or comments, or John, anything else to add? I'm really excited about it. I'm sorry we couldn't do a live event last year, and I'm hoping we can pull it off this year. I think it'll be a lot of fun to just be together.
Will be.
But not too close, right, Dr. Brown?
Right.
Right.
John, do you want to talk a little bit about, and that was, great. And this is a great event. The money raised last year specifically went to some really important things for this year to really get us off. So if any way y'all can participate, tell your friends, tell those 8th grade parents, this is a great way to learn some things about Midtown as well. I do want to.
They're asking for the event website. Can you add that or drop that to the chat?
Yes, I'll grab it and I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
And I did read the note from Sarah. I read the follow-up note, so thank you. John and I will discuss that with Park Tavern on the 8th.
It's also time for nominations for our PTSO officers going into next year. John, you want to talk about that?
Right, exactly. Perfect. Excellent segue. Yes, we're looking for a few members to sit on our nominating committee. And they'll be responsible for finding a few members who'd like to be on the board of directors for next year, which actually begins June 1st. So we're really trying to get this thing kind of going now, or at least soon. So if you're interested in serving, it's a short-term role. You just find the folks who would like to sit on the board, and please contact Anna Cohen. Her email her email is right there. And look for more information in the nightly news. And please consider spending some time helping the PTSO. I've also got an additional ask. Ann Stibe has some information regarding Sister Act.
Yeah, so our first in-person musical in 2 years since Legally Blonde in early 2020. Sister Act opens tonight in the auditorium, 7 o'clock tomorrow, and at 2 and 7 on Saturday. Tickets are available at midtowndrama.com. There's a link. There's also a link. I can put a link in the chat and in the nightly news, and you can also buy tickets in person. We ask all audience to wear masks. The performers are maskless, but they can wear masks if they want to. But everyone in the audience needs to wear a mask. And we do have concessions, but we'll ask people to eat concessions outside at intermission or beforehand. There'll be no food or drink in the auditorium during the show. I saw the parent preview last night and it was so good and fun. So it's definitely an uplifting musical that's very needed right now. So it was really fun to be back in the auditorium and see the kids perform. And that's it.
Okay.
Thanks. Dr. Bachman, that's all we have. So thank you.
So I want to hats off to this PTA board, who, as many have served for 3 years consecutively. Thank you so much for your service. You know, as a principal, you just can't imagine how nice it is to have a PTSO that has done the work that they have here. And really in this cluster, I've been so fortunate in all the schools to have such a supportive PTSO, PTA, PTO. And it's really important work for the school and the support for the principal. So thank you all so much for what you've done. You know, when I first came here, Alex Kaufman, she was our first president, and gosh, a long time ago. And I think the amount that was in the PTSA amount was something like $2,000 to start the year. And so we put in things in place, mainly the parents that have served, put things in place so that we do have money that can be used to support teachers and students as well, so that we're not worried about it all the time. So that's been a wonderful thing to see grow over my time here at Midtown. So thank you so much for serving, and just know how much I appreciate it. I appreciate your support over the years. One thing I did want to talk about a minute that PTSO helped support is some of our classrooms. Just to pick something out, Ms. Hollis, you may want to be able to elaborate on this, that the PTSO is supporting some new software for our digital design students. Would you talk a little bit about that? We just ordered it.
Sure. The district provides software across all grade bands 6 through 12 for CTAE classes, sorry. And because of their need to provide the software for 6 through 12, we were finding that a lot of our students already did those projects in middle school. And so we wanted to make sure we're still providing academically rigorous, challenging tasks inside the digital design classes. So what we did was we purchased, through the help of PTSO, it's too many letters, I'm sorry, a high school subscription for Tinker. And I'm sure a lot of parents know about Tinker or have seen advertisements with Tinker. And what's really cool is that it can be self-paced, it can be teacher-driven, and it can be done outside of what the school is asking you to do. There are projects that the child can go on and play with or tinker with without the teacher assigning it as well. So Tinker allows you to learn how to code through block coding or learn coding, different types of languages, Python being one. But it starts with block coding and then it goes to actual coding language. And some of the middle school things does it through like gamification. But as you progress in the complexity of the assignment, you know, is less game-based, but the students are able to learn different types of coding and the teacher is able to provide a more rigorous environment than what was previously being offered, because like I said, some students, either from parents purchasing or from what's going on at our lovely feeder school, had already done some of the tasks. And so we wanted to make sure that we were helping students continuing their path of mastering as it relates to digital design and coding.
So that was about a $5,000 gift. Thank you to PTSO, which is really you all. Thank you for your gifts to the PTSO through annual fund, through the auction, through membership. It's really, really helpful. So speaking of kind of software or new things, your kids may have told you because now is the time that they're requesting course requests. If your student hasn't done that, they need to do that. And Mr. Vincent is the magician about making all that work. So some new classes we're seeing what the interest is for next year in the social studies realm would be intro to Black studies, intro to Asian studies, intro to women's studies, and intro to Latinx studies. So those are 4 separate courses that we're gauging interest. So that's in the social studies realm. It's an elective. And so just let your child know about that. If they haven't already opened that up, they should see. We also are adding a pathway. We're adding the construction pathway, which we're very excited about, starting next year, the construction pathway. And we are finishing our first year of multicultural literature studies as a 12th grade course. So 12th graders can either take AP literature, dramatic writing, or multicultural literature, and all 3 of those satisfy the 12th grade English requirement. So, and then of course some students take a college class, so those are just some new courses that we're bringing on. One thing I'm really proud of at Midtown is the huge number of courses that kids have to select from in their electives, and even just in the 12th grade, that literature. So I don't know that any school offers the amount of both AP classes, but also just on level, there's just the core classes, the variety, things we're trying to hit kids' interest levels. So I'm really proud of that. So look forward to those coming on next year. We are starting to work through our budget. We just got our budget funds, and that's about a 2-month process for next year. We're projected to have 1,591 students, which is 1 over the projection for this year. So, and as you may know, this cluster is going through a enrollment type of projection kind of thing with, an outside group. I don't want to get in the weeds on that because I'll mess it up, but we are looking at that holistically in the cluster. Our population here, our enrollment is steadily grown. We're only expected to increase over the next couple of years, to big numbers. So, right now we're good. We can handle everything. So we'll see in the future. I don't want to get everybody all hyped up about that, but that's just where we are right now. Any questions about courses, those kind of things? The pathways, talking about now is the time that kids are requesting courses because we need to know those numbers. We need to know the preferences so that I can make sure we're staffed appropriately to serve your kids' desires, needs, graduation credits, things like that. So any questions about that? Okay. All right. So that's kind of all the major things I had. So let's talk about the situation that we had this week with a student that brought a weapon to school. I know that's on your mind. Of course, it's on my mind. A similar situation happened at Howard Middle School, where my 2 children are in 8th grade. This week, they actually had 2 incidents with a weapon. And so I do feel your concerns as a parent, as a principal, community member, feel your concerns absolutely about safety and students. And so I do want to hear your concerns. And, I'll go ahead and hit this right from the beginning. One of the things that happens when something like this happens is everybody gets very involved, very vocal, very engaged about school safety. Please note that the people that work here, the people in the district, are involved with that, thinking about that, engaged with that every minute of the school year and of the year. We don't just look at safety and and look at our procedures when something happens. That is not what we do. We are constantly looking at safety, looking at personnel, looking at our procedures, things like that. We are scheduled, Midtown is scheduled to get an additional school resource officer next year. That was already in the works in our budget. It has nothing to do with a student bringing a weapon onto campus this week. That was already in the budget. You know, we have a new building, the A building, and so just more ground to cover. So that'll be nice if we have three officers in addition, one more in addition to Officer Barr and Officer Hammond, who have been here a long time and know the students and the school well. So, so the first thing that the things that always comes up is metal detectors. So I want to hit that right from the beginning because everybody always wants to say, okay, let's get back to metal detectors, bag searches, you know, everything that we can do for in that realm. And I know that the middle school, you want that as well. So I'm going to talk from my experience about that. And I wrote some things down as I wrote to a parent late last night. She had written me an email about this. So in my 18 years of being a principal in middle and high school, we have not once found a weapon using a morning metal detector process. 18 years that I've been in middle and high school. Searching 1,550 book bags each day is not possible. It would take hours and kids would be standing in line for a long time, rain or shine. Teachers are the ones assigned to standing in line to do this type of duty, usually 4 weeks at least during the school year. So teachers would have a week, you're on metal detector duty from before it was 7:50 to 8:15, something like that. Having 100 different people performing this job is not a good system. And teachers can only be on duty until students start going to class. We would have to hire at least 6 people to work from 7:45 to 9:30 searching bags. And then you'd have to have somebody else on duty all day for kids that come and go due to dentist appointments, come to school late, all those kind of things. And so we would have to hire at least 6 people to work from 7:45 a.m. throughout the day, another person searching bags and monitoring metal detectors at only 2 entrances. Right now we have about 5 entrances, kids that they come in. So funneling everybody into 2 entrances, the bus and then the courtyard area brings problems as well. Right now I'm moving 1,550 kids into the building between 8 o'clock and 8:45 from 2 parking lots, the drop-offs, the walkers, and 19 buses each day is a mammoth task. Schools are not airports that have x-ray machines and a plethora of trained agents. We can't stop students for 10 seconds, watch them go through a metal detector, and then if the detector sounds, search the student with a wand or pat them down. Again, we're not the airport. We are not TSA. During my 18 years, again, we have discovered a couple of weapons, and that was because students shared information. This is during the day, not in the morning. That is why we advocate for the See Something, Say Something initiative. Confidentially, students can report all kinds of things to keep our students safe. As I said, I have 2 kids of my own in middle school. That school also had a couple of situations this week within the last 2 days. As a parent and a principal, I'm thinking about safety constantly, but I also have to be realistic and honest about what we can do. So we have done, I see a question about random checks. It's either all or nothing, because if we do random checks every 4 bags that come in, every 6, every 7, we've tried that kind of system. Again, you're asking teachers to do security work. You know, we've had the school resource officers, you know, talk to our teachers about how do you conduct a bag search, that kind of thing. How do you check for things on the person? I mean, just the thought of talking about that is hard because teachers are not trained to do that. So we've done the random thing, but if you do random, then the concern of parents and community members is, what if it's not the random bag that gets searched and there's something in there? I just promise you, this would take a very long time to go back to the 1,550 bag checks. I don't like to do things in a perfunctory manner. I don't like to just open up bags and just do a glance in. If we're going to do that, we would have to do it right. So, you know, I'm just going off of my experience that I have never found a weapon in a morning metal detector thing. So that's where we are. If, you know, if there's something more, if this community really wants that kind of effort, a daily bag check and a daily metal detector where the student walks in, they stop, we see if the metal detector goes off, that is a mammoth task. And that would require a huge amount of resources on the part of the district, because I'm telling you, I don't have the budget to hire 6 to 8 people every day to do this. If it's something that we want to do as a community, then the district is going to have to support that with finances and personnel. That is just the reality. I always try to be honest with you all, but that is the reality. If we start doing that, kids will be out in the rain. They will be standing in line for a long time. You know, that will shift. I mean, that just shifts what we do. But that's, you know, I just, we're asking schools to do an awful lot these days, you all, an awful lot, from monitoring and responding to kids' mental health concerns. You know, we did this BEST screening, you know, in September, October. We had 300 kids that scored elevated or extremely elevated, that our counselors and a couple of other trained people had to meet with individually. You know, we'll do that again in March. We, you know, we're trying to cover classes we don't have substitutes for. Thankfully, that's not all the time, but it's every day there's 1 or 2 classes that need to be covered. You know, we're making sure that we're monitoring kids for dishonesty, that we're the COVID health safety is a huge task. There's no extra people to help with that on the school level. We are doing increased academic testing this year, from the SAT in the fall. We haven't done that, to MAP, to PSAT, to the ASVAB, to access testing, to benchmark testing. The things that we're being asked to do have greatly increased this year. So, you know, I don't know if there are any school board members on this. I don't know if any other APS decision makers above the school level are on here, but I'm just, that is where we are with that. So, you know, when I dropped one of my children off this morning at Howard for tutoring, and they were checking bags at that time. You know, I dropped her off early for tutoring, but also because she didn't want to be in a long line, you know, for an hour waiting to get in. If you've all had kids at Howard, you know, in that last week in December, they did a very extensive search of kids taking shoes off, a search. I think that was the last day, December 17th. Oh, when there was that TikTok thing about bomb threats and things like that. You know, they were doing shoes, take off your shoes, take off your jackets, open your lunch bags. That is, I don't know, that's just really, that's a lot for school to do. And, you know, it took, as Sherry just said, it took an hour and a half to move all those Howard kids through that. So, okay. Ms. Hollis, are there things in the chat that we can address? Or Ms. McBride?
There was a question about how the student was caught earlier in the week.
Okay. Well, I wrote that in my in my letter to you all that I hope you got, but the student came in late around 10:40. And when that happens, you come in through the attendance office, you check in that way. People in the student support office, it was very clear that the student had a smell of marijuana around him. And as always happens when that happens here at school, we pull the student aside, we talk to the student, we do a bag check, a jacket check, we do a check of a search of anything they might have. And that's how we found the weapon in that situation. The only other time we found a weapon that I've been here 5.5 years is a student came in late, same thing, student came in late, it was about 9:30. We actually had gotten a tip though earlier that morning about this student might have something, and he came in late. Immediately we grabbed him, searched him, and he had a weapon. So that's why I say the see something, say something is really important. So students will take safety into their own hands. They want to keep this place safe. They want to keep their friends safe. They want to keep themselves safe, the teachers safe, and they will tell when there's something like that.
And Dr. Bachman, if I might add, it's also the relationships that the teachers and the various staff members here have built with students. Students will have very candid conversations with teachers if they're concerned about a peer. And just wanted to highlight just how amazing the relationship building is and how important it is to keep our students safe.
I think
there was another.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was another question about, have we considered the clear bag policy?
Schools have done that in the past. We would have to buy 1,550 bags, and you can't force people to do that. And they would have to use them every day. I know that Jackson High School has done that before. When you start telling people the backpack they have to have, that kind of thing, it brings a lot of emotion and responses to that. But that's definitely a suggestion that we can look into. There was a question, but did you put that in the chat? You put the see something, say something in the chat earlier. Maybe you could put it in again.
I can put the link.
News.
Yeah. Between Howard and Midtown this week, we've heard both weapon and gun use, knowing that there are multiple types of weapons to prevent rumors. They fly, as you know, is it possible to be clear if the weapon is a firearm or something else? Hopefully it will never happen again. And I also appreciate your honesty and clear communication on this.
It was a firearm, yes. Yes. The student was arrested and is being held. Yeah. What happens with that is the student brings a weapon on campus of that caliber. I mean, it depends on what it is. A small pen knife would not be the same as as a firearm, but the student is suspended for 10 days pending a tribunal hearing, which will happen. And then there's also the criminal charges that go hand in hand with this. So the student will not return to Midtown. That's what happens.
In your experience, are the kids bringing weapons in for their own safety concerns at home or on the way to school, at school, et cetera, or is it for other kinds of reasons?
That is not something that we necessarily know. Students are not going to be real forthcoming to us about an intention or a reason for that. That's really for the criminal process. They have attorneys, and the attorneys tell them, do not say anything. It's just not something that we know the exact information for.
A statement, you are requiring people to wear masks. You could require clear bags similarly. I will be willing to contribute to transparent bag costs and any other additional efforts. And another person said that they feel like knives are still able to be concealable in clear bags. Okay, this question. Do you need more support financially or programmatically to support Midtown in the effort that you do on weapon prevention, i.e. see something, say something? How can we help you besides trying to get Georgia to have sensible gun laws?
Great. Yeah. What it would take, what I would need is the absolute backing of the school system that we could require clear bags, and that require clear bags, that we would provide, the school system or the school would provide the bag if a person wasn't able to afford it, and then enforcing it. That parents would support if a student does not use a clear bag, that there's a consequence for that. It would really be, it is really up to, so much of this, you all know, is what happens in the home. You all are we as parents are the ones that enforce, that lay down expectations, that hold our kids accountable. We as parents are. And so all of y'all think about your own kids that are here. Would they be willing to use a clear bag every day? Would you be willing to enforce that? Are you going to not let your child leave the house without their clear bag? Because what happens is, you know, we have 1,550 here. We're trying to enforce that. You would not believe the amount of pushback that sometimes that we get for parents for things like that. So I'm just trying to be realistic about what it looks like on the ground. All these things sound great on paper, and they make us feel better that we think that's going on, but it's just really very, very difficult to manage. As you know, and you're talking about years, to manage it year to year to year to year.
Student athletes, band members, et cetera, are not just bringing book bags and backpacks to school. And this person does not believe a clear bag is a solution.
I mean, it's a lot. Like I think, okay, I dropped Devin off this morning. She had 3 things. She had a basketball backpack because they have a game tonight. They're undefeated. Howard, I'll just say the 8th grade team, boys and girls. Sylvan Middle School tonight starting at 5:30. That she had a basketball backpack. She had her school backpack, books and things like that. She had a lunch bag. So that means she'd have to have 3 clear bags, or 3, you know, or a clear duffel bag or something. The mechanics of this are very difficult, you know. You know, our new mayor has talked about including some high school and middle school principals in on his crime prevention initiatives. I think that's a great idea, because I think we know an awful lot about what's going on in the community and how crime and things like this emanate from the community. I hope he does start that soon. Sure. All right, okay, so Sherry, who's over at Howard right now at 9:57, they're still checking bags at Howard, and they're supposed to do PSAT testing today for 8th graders. So that means that PSAT has now been pushed back. I don't even know if they'll get it in today, if you're still checking backpacks at 10 o'clock. So, and it's misting out there.
And another parent said that their child just got into class at Howard. I do want to, not that you're about to end, but also mention on a positive note for those who have seniors graduating, that the graduation is on Wednesday, May 25th at 11 a.m. up the street at the McCamish Pavilion at Georgia Tech.
So that plan is to be inside, which that place is huge. Lots of distancing can take place. So we don't know about guests for graduation yet. We won't know about that, but as I said, there's plenty of room there. And Mr. Vincent and Ms. Hollis will be getting out like the number of tickets, that kind of thing. We don't have that information yet. But we do have a date, so if you have people coming in from out of town, you can at least start with that. Just to kind of close the safety thing, the way I started, safety is on our mind all the time. Like I'm in this conference room looking out of the window all the time, seeing what's going on out there, who's pulling up, that kind of thing. It's just in our blood as administrators and teachers. And so just no, it's just what we do constantly. We have a lot of, measures we put in, especially with the new construction. But the ultimate people that can help this are our kids. Our kids are the ones that can help keep us safe. Report anything that they think is amiss. Closed doors, don't prop doors open. Closed doors, we have all these great new gates, but if the kids leave the gates open, prop them open. I just want to say, we don't have this huge security force of people that are camped out in the parking lot, watching the parking lots, that are constantly going around checking doors. Everybody here has a job to do. If we want to start doing that, I can devote some of my budget to like other resource officers, things like that. But it's quite expensive. It's $90,000 for another police SRO, so it's a lot. But I just want you to know that I get it. I think about it all the time. But I do want to be real with you about this metal detector thing and the bag search. Teachers are not trained to do what the airport is trained to do. You all know, okay, if you're taking a plane, you have to get there an hour and a half early, sometimes 2, just to get through that. So talk to your children about reporting anything that's amiss. Like you, I do not like picking up, like Devin last night, I pick her up from practice, and she talks about that. Oh, did you hear about the gun or weapon or whatever she said that was found? She told me all the details about it. Now, whether that was true, the details are true, because you know how kids talk. But I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want you knowing about this. I don't want this in my world, as a parent. I don't want to think about what's that doing to my kids, to Devin and Trent. But, so I understand all that. You don't want to talk about this. You don't want this in your world. But everything that happens at Midtown is a function of society. I'll get on my soapbox. I don't, guns are way too prevalent. It is way too easy for kids to get guns for whatever reason, however method. I mean, you all know that the accidental shootings that have happened just hugely of kids in the last couple of months. It's just too accessible. I don't know. We expect our kids to do things that we don't even hold other adults accountable for. We expect a lot of our kids in our schools. So, we just, gun control laws, gun safety, I don't know, but they're way too accessible. The other day I was coming back from the airport on 85 North before the connector, and a guy on a motorcycle passed me, and I looked up. He had a handgun in his waistband. His shirt was up. I could see a black handgun in his waistband. And talk about road rage. I mean, I just completely backed off from him because I just, I didn't know. But that was probably, it could have been a legal weapon. I mean, it's just too accessible. That's all I can say. That's just the reality. But so.
Dr. Bachman?
Yeah.
This is Human Trafficking Month, and Ms. Johnson wanted to have a couple minutes to talk about that.
Go ahead, Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson's our social worker, school social worker.
Hello, everybody. I know that we have a heavy lift this year, just as a community, as a school, but I am thankful to just serve in this community, and I'm glad to see all of us working together to just try to make this work. But yes, this month is Human Trafficking Month, and I just wanted to share with you just to stay tuned to Atlanta Public Schools home pages because they'll be sharing some information in regards to events surrounding education and awareness in regards to human trafficking. And am I able to share my screen just briefly? And I'll also be putting a link in the chat in regards to human trafficking, just so you all can have access to information, because this is something that, even though it's not right in front of our faces, sometimes it is in front of our faces. And so just to kind of give you some tips and ideas on, you know, what to look for and things of that nature. But I did want to share this awesome picture of the amazing Midtown staff that did wear blue in support of Human Trafficking Awareness Day on January 11th. So I just wanted to thank the team. I also wanted to thank Dr. Bachman for just being very supportive and making sure, of course, that our students are supported. As far as, did I stop sharing my screen? I think I did.
You did not stop sharing?
I did not. Oh no, that's Dr. Bachman's screen. It's not mine.
You're right.
Are you asking me to do something technology wise? What do you want me to do?
So what I will, let's see. Okay, there we go. Okay. So yeah, I just want to so again, just thank everyone, and thank Dr. Bachman for really being supportive in our mental health awareness for this community, for our students. I really appreciate that. It's been a heavy push this year. We've all been affected just by COVID and everything going on. And so thank you so much to everybody. And I just put that information in the chat in regards to Human Trafficking Prevention Month. And if you all have any questions or anything like that, feel free to contact me directly, and I'll put my email in the chat if you have any questions in regards to this month, and you know what you can do to be aware and talk to your kids about human trafficking and what to look for. So thank you.
I took a course on that last summer, an online course on human trafficking, and wow, that was really eye-opening. It was a lot, but it was something that was, yeah, needs to be much more exposure on that. Okay. Anybody else on the call? Ms. Halls, Ms. McBride, anybody else on here that they want to just share anything with parents going on?
Yes, Dr. Bachman, this is Shakita Blankenship. Apologies for my camera. I'm off camera. I can't get it on for whatever reason, but good morning again. Just a few announcements from the school counseling department. Parents, our juniors will be sitting for SAT school day on March 2nd. So more information will be coming out as it relates to that. Through SEL, through advisement, we will be working with students again this year as it relates to SAT prep. So just wanted to make sure that you had that date on your calendar. Also, we will be conducting our annual College and Career Motivation Week activities beginning February 28th through March 4th. So be on the lookout for those activities. We'll put in the night view and on the website, but we'll be doing virtual tours with the students, mock interviews. We'll also have a Midtown alumni panels that will come back, we'll come back virtually and talk with our students about their college and career experiences, as well as dual enrollment sessions. We are in the pre-scheduling process for next school year. If you did not get an opportunity to sit with your children as it relates to their courses, there will be another opportunity for them to do a second pre-scheduling form if they did not get an opportunity to complete the first one, or if they need to make some changes from the first one. So that is forthcoming. And also, many students have expressed an interest in learning more about dual enrollment. We'll be doing sessions with those students around that. But for those students who are looking, our juniors and our seniors, to apply for dual enrollment for next school year, it's going to be important for them to still complete that pre-scheduling form as if they're going to be at Midtown full time, because we want to make sure that we put a complete schedule together for them. And then once they're accepted to the institution, then the school counselor will be able to meet with the student to make any necessary adjustments around their Midtown and college schedule. So those dual enrollment sessions will be February 28th through March 25th. And all of this information will be shared through Schoology on the website, as well as through our newsletter. And lastly, Credit Recovery Atlanta Virtual Academy. If any of your children need to do any credit recovery, now is the time to apply for that. The application is open through January 28th. And additionally, if we have students that want to do some advanced coursework, they have the opportunity to do that as well through Atlanta Virtual Academy. So again, that application is open through January 28th. Again, we'll push all of this out through our different avenues of sharing information with students and parents, but I just wanted to make sure that you had those dates on your calendars. Thank you, Dr. Bachman.
You're welcome.
Let me add to what
you,
she's saying. Oh, go ahead.
If you make it through high school without needing any help with your student, that's an amazing thing. But please know that we have so many people here that we've added in the last couple of years, from Miss Coatson, who's what I would call a career coach. You know, there are kids that they may not be ready or wanting to go to college right away. She works to find them both part-time jobs, but also starting a career after high school. So that's her job. She's here. We have 2 graduation coaches, 4 counselors, social worker, student support coordinators, lots of people here to help. You know, I've had 3 kids that have moved on from high school, but every one of them I needed help with. I mean, you know, so please trust us that we're here to help you, help your family. You know, it's just not very often that kids go through high school or the parents without needing anything. If you know everything about being a parent, congratulations, because the older you get, the more less you know. But you know, I will want to say, you know, it's just such a difficult time, challenging time. You know, my son Tomas, who graduated in May from here, and he went to college, but he decided in late October that was not for him, and he came home at that point. We made the decision to come home. It was not working out for him. I was concerned about him emotionally. You know, he just needed to come home. Okay, he's gotten a job. He works at the hardware store on Scott Boulevard, so go there and see him. But he loves that job. It was the best thing for him. He's happy, healthy. It's a great place for him. Maybe he'll go back. He talks about, it just wasn't the right time. Things just don't work out exactly as we planned, and especially now. So just know that, you know, what your child's doing right now it may change 100 times over the next year, but you know, just support them in their insecurities and you know, what they want to do. But you know, I'm proud of Tomas for making that decision to come home. You know, and so you know, it's good. So okay, well, I appreciate your time today, and thank you for hearing me, for the reality and the transparency and the honesty. You know, I really, over my years in this community, I've really tried to just be honest about what we can do, what we can't, and how much I love and respect your kids and you all as parents for what you do as well. So we're just all in it together. It's a public school in a vibrant community, you know, and everything doesn't always go the way we want it to, you know, but our job is to serve every student that's eligible to come here. And that's what we do as public school. So thank you for supporting that. Okay, well, we'll see you later. Email me if you have any concerns or questions.
I did want to end with all of these copies are on our stream live to the Midtown High School YouTube page. So you can tell your friends if they can't get on the Zoom, they can always tune in to the YouTube live stream and always go back and look at it if you subscribe to Midtown High School on YouTube. Have a great day.